operating support in 18 to listening to this last year. So we turned to our local leaders for help. Last year, Mayor Ginther and the City of Columbus stepped up and made a commitment to LSS's choices, providing us with $1 million in operating support and helping to tell our story to garner additional support. The county quickly followed suit. 1 year later, it is my honor, on behalf of the board, staff, and most especially the clients of LSS and Choices, to say thank you, and to share how we used those dollars to advance our mission to serve this wonderful community. Last year, we served 975 people, over half of whom were children, and 34 of their beloved pets. We provided 64,000 nights of shelter. This represents a 15% increase over last year. We also answered 34,000 calls from individuals looking for resources all the way to those who were in high danger. That represents an alarming 39% increase in calls over the last year. With the support that the city and county provided us, we strengthened Choices programs in addition to doing that work in two critical ways. First off, because our primary goal with Choices is to be there when people need us, to get them out of harm's way so that they can get to a safe home of their own. We have to both get people in and get people out. So helping people establish housing, as we know, has become increasingly difficult in a housing situation. But together with the Community Shelter Board and other community nonprofits like the YMCA, we were also able to win an additional $1 million from HUD to launch a new rapid rehousing program specifically for domestic violence victims so that we can ensure that this bed is there where people need us and are in danger. In addition, we were also able to launch the clinical counseling program to help survivors and their children get the mental health support that can help them to heal. Our model allows us to follow our clients into their permanent housing after they have left the shelter,
to help them to overcome the trauma that they have experienced and regain their independence, identity, and heal. While I can share the statistics, each one of the 975 people that we serve has a story, and I'd like to tell you one of them. Diamond is a 22-year-old Choices client. She, like so many, thought her new boyfriend was a great guy, charming and always pampering her. But after 6 months, things started to change, and he began to show his anger. Eventually, Diamond felt unsafe and knew she had to leave. The most dangerous moment for people in a situation of domestic violence. She told him. He pulled out a gun and shot her in the face. She says that she thought she was going to die, but knew she had to remain calm and stabilize her breathing. She did it until she made it to the hospital, where she slipped into a coma for 2 weeks. She woke up to find out exactly what had happened and what she was going to face. At only 22, she had to relearn how to walk, talk, and eat. But because of her determination, Diamond made almost a full physical recovery. But she said that while her body healed, her insides continued to need help. And that's where Choices came in. Diamond had lost her housing and had nowhere to turn where she was trying to heal from the terrible emotional scars. But Choices is helping her to overcome her trauma and become independent again. She's also in our new rapid rehousing program, and her goal is to go back to school and become a kindergarten teacher. I was first introduced to Diamond through the members of our frontline team. I was having lunch with a group of them, and I asked them a question I often do, which is, tell me about your favorite client. Most of the time, people can't remember one, but this particular day, everybody started talking about Diamond. They all told me a particular story. The security guard talked about how she would open the door for them. The cook told me about how she would compliment the mashed potatoes. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine what Diamond and others like her have gone through. But I do know how happy that I am that LSS and Choices are able to be there for victims and survivors of domestic violence. And this is only with the help of funders like the city and the county. Seeing a 22-year-old beautiful woman with her mouth wired shut because she was shot by an intimate partner is hard to deal with every day. And yet, the power of the human spirit to rise, even in these bleak circumstances, is what helps us to be successful and to keep going. Your significant trust in us, Mayor Ginther, on behalf of the City of Columbus, and to our county elected officials, that is an investment in the power and potential of the human spirit. It is a belief that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and safety in their home. Thank you for your investment in Choices and your commitment to its continued success. This is an illustration that we, as a community, will not tolerate this violent behavior, and that we will align ourselves with the victims of domestic violence to help them see themselves as survivors. And with that, it is my pleasure to welcome Andrew Ginther, Mayor of the City of Columbus, to the podium. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thanks for your incredible leadership and partnership. I know she's being shy and standing in the back of the room, but I have to give a shout out to Judge Eileen Paley, a former colleague of mine when we served on city council together, and she's doing an incredible job as a judge in our community. Judge Paley, thank you for being here. Thanks for all your work to help getting us here. Director Shack and the Office of Violence Prevention Team, Judge O'Grady and the Franklin County Municipal Court, Director Rochelle Pride and Franklin County, all these incredible partners have helped bring us to where we are today. And I want to thank the team at Choices. You talk about folks on the front lines, helping women and children in crisis in our community, incredible leaders and public servants, and so grateful for what they do. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're once again joining with others across the community to move this pressing issue to the center of the conversation and recommit ourselves to the important work that lies ahead. Our resolve is unshakable, and our work is ongoing, 24/7, 365. It's absolutely vital that we make sure that individuals in crisis are getting the resources they need, and that folks who are in dangerous or deadly situations are able to flee secure in the knowledge that they'll be protected. It's why we've invested an additional $1 million in Choices over the past year to get more beds online for individuals and families who are seeking immediate shelter. That initial round of extra funding came at a time when we were seeing domestic violence playing an outsized role in homicides in Columbus. To put this in perspective, last year there were 25 homicides related to domestic violence situations. The year before that, there were 7. So far this year, there have been 19. That count is down slightly from a year ago, but it also represents a larger percentage, more than 20%, of all homicides that have occurred year to date as a result of domestic violence. Part of this has to do with the fact that homicides overall are down significantly year over year, which makes this issue of domestic violence homicides that much more of a scourge on our community. We know that homicides overall are down 30%. We as a community are helping to lead the nation in reductions in homicides overall, but domestic violence homicides continue to be a major issue that we must tackle as a community. We cannot ignore or overlook the devastating impact that domestic violence continues to inflict on this community. We know the root causes are complex. Some have been well documented, others are still being analyzed, particularly in light of the pandemic, as crime trends evolved in dramatic and troubling ways during a short period of time. In Franklin County, we experienced a large and rapid increase in the number of domestic violence incidents coming out of the pandemic. A tragic reality we saw play out in states and cities nationwide. And Columbus stepped up to the plate by investing unprecedented sums into victim services. But what's clear now is that we need to take our investments to the next level, focusing as well on intervention programs that have been proven to prevent violent situations from becoming deadly situations. The city's Office of Violence Prevention is leading the charge, taking the reins on both the victim services and intervention efforts that we're pursuing to improve the lives of Columbus families. One such program is the Batterers Intervention Program in the Franklin County Municipal Court. These programs hold batterers accountable and foster healthy behaviors that reduce or eliminate the likelihood of recurring acts of domestic violence. Currently, the court outsources this program to an outside entity, but we're bringing this program in-house within the court's probation department to offer greater flexibility and financial resources. Our goal is to boost enrollment, bolster completion, and reduce recidivism. The city, for our part, is investing $338,000 to help get this initiative off the ground. We'll be working with our partners at the county and beyond to make sure this program gets the funding it needs to be successful. To share more about this program and its potential to disrupt the cycle of violence, it's my pleasure to introduce our director of the city's Office of Violence Prevention, Rena Shack.
Thank you, Mayor. As the director of the Office of Violence Prevention, I am honored to be here today to speak to the efforts and investments that we as a city have made over the last year to address the growing number of domestic violence cases in our city. Nationally, we know that 41% of women and 26% of men experience a form of intimate partner violence at some time in their lives. The trauma of this can last a lifetime and can even transfer from mother to baby if a woman is abused during pregnancy. Domestic violence while pregnant can lead to poor health outcomes for the baby, adverse childhood experiences as they grow, and a cycle of trauma that can last generations. We also know that domestic violence disputes that involve a firearm increase the likelihood of death by 500%. As of the end of September, the Columbus Division of Police just this year had received 5,295 domestic violence-related calls. And to date, like Mayor Ginther said, we have experienced 19 homicides related to domestic violence. A sad truth is that we have seen domestic violence become deadlier here in our city over the last 2 years. And we, as an office and a city, are dedicated to doing our part to lower those numbers in any way we can. In addition to investing in and supporting victim services, the Office of Violence Prevention is excited to have the chance to invest in intervention services for the abusers through the new in-house Batterers Intervention Program to be housed in the Probation Department at the Franklin County Municipal Court. We are thrilled to be able to partner with the Municipal Court as well as Franklin County to provide these services to our city. We recognize that one of the best ways to stop intimate partner violence from reoccurring is to address the needs of those perpetrating the violence. This is squarely in line with community violence intervention strategies, most of which are popularly known for focusing on those perpetrating gun or group violence. Community violence intervention strategies have been elevated over the last few years because we recognize that we cannot police our way out of violence. We must support victims, but we also must address the root cause of the violence through intervention work with the perpetrators. Now, historically, Columbus has offered a batterers intervention program through a third-party contract. This program had a dismally low success rate, as there existed many barriers to participant completion. For example, many participants could not afford to pay to participate in the program. The courses were only offered during the typical 8 to 5 traditional workday time slot. And if a class was missed, a participant was required to start at the beginning of the 40-week course. And the cycle continued with the financial strain and the time constraints. As completion of this intervention program is meant to reduce re-victimization, it was absolutely imperative that we revisit Columbus's offering in this space. Intervention is meant to change thinking, to change behavior, and increase accountability of the participants in a batterers intervention program. Without the ability to complete the program, accountability remains absent, and the underlying behaviors and thinking do not change. With the creation of Columbus's new in-house batterers intervention program, we are able to reduce those barriers to completion. Courses will be assigned based on risk assessments of the participants. Classes will be offered at times throughout the day, including the evenings and even on weekends. This will allow for participants to remain employed and arrange for childcare that is necessary for completion of the program. And more importantly, the program will be at no cost to the participant. In addition, if a class is missed, the participant will be able to start back where they left off instead of encountering the barriers to restart the program all over again. We are proud to announce that the BIP program is currently staffed and receiving referrals. Once all the groups are up and running, the court anticipates a total of 180 participants through probation participating at any given time. And we hope to have larger group sizes in the future with expansion. The Office of Violence Prevention and the city are so excited to see this program grow, and we thank the mayor, the municipal court, its probation department, as well as the county for their partnership in this project. They all have wasted no time in identifying the need and executing on the vision. With that, it is my pleasure to announce and introduce Judge O'Grady from the Franklin County Municipal Court.
Thank you, Director Schack. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming today. I am Judge Jim O'Grady, one of your Franklin County Municipal Court judges. I want to thank Mayor Ginther, Columbus's Director of Office Violence Prevention, Rena Shack, and the Franklin County Commissioners for their support on this project. I would also like to thank our Chief Probation Officer, Alicia Zerman, and Scott Simanison, the supervisor of the program. I'd also like to have a special thank you to Judge Eileen Paley, my colleague. Her efforts are amazing, and without her, we wouldn't probably be here today. It is through all the support and hard work of these individuals that this has become possible. I am pleased to be here to mark the significance of this historic announcement. Starting this month, the Franklin County Municipal Court Department of Pretrial and Probation Services will begin offering the batterer intervention programs within the municipal court as part of its collective effort to help identify and change intimate partner violence. The batterer intervention program is improving offender assessment and removing barriers that will make the program more accessible while also better targeting higher risk offenders. Administered by the municipal court, the program is easily accessible and along COTA bus lines. The Franklin County Municipal Court's Probation Department is recognized nationwide for its outstanding practices and contributions to the probation and corrections fields. This summer, the Ohio Chief Probation Office Association recognized the department for its excellence, in no small part due to its quality risk assessment of offenders. Our probation department uses evidence-based practices to more accurately appraise offenders and reduce recidivism. Thanks to the mayor's initiative, financial support from the county, the program will be available at no cost, allowing for increased participation. Changes to the program will also allow for more flexibility in determining how best to foster change in behaviors and ensure ownership of the abusive behavior. This is not something that can be achieved quickly. Offenders will attend the program for 26 to 40 weeks. These innovative and proactive changes underscore the Franklin County Municipal Court, Mayor Ginther's, and the Franklin County Commissioner's commitment to reducing recidivism. The support that they have shown for the specialty dockets, the Self-Help Center, the March and Capit programs have changed the way our court serves the community and have helped the Franklin County Municipal Court become one of the most innovative courts in the country. We thank them all for their support, and thank you for being here today. I would now like to welcome Rochelle Pride, Director of the Office of Justice and Policy Programs, to the podium.
Good afternoon. First, I want to say thank you to our mayor, Mayor Ginther. Thank you so much to our visionaries, Judge Paley, those that we work with in our municipal courts and their teams each and every day and that are committed to this work. I see Bridget DeCrane in the back, who also was a huge support in this space as we talk about what it looks like to interrupt domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and the impact it has on our community. So as Director for the Office of Justice Policy and Programs, and as well as our court-appointed special advocates of Franklin County, who tirelessly advocate every day to interrupt the abuse, neglect, and dependency of our children within our juvenile courts, it is on behalf of us and our Board of Commissioners and county leadership that we are humbled and blessed to stand in unity with our mayor, with our Office of Violence Prevention, our municipal court judges and teams and partners to support this much-needed response to intimate partner violence. According to 2023 Franklin County Municipal Court records, approximately 2,000 defendants were assessed as being appropriate for this new and innovative batterers intervention program. As we galvanize to strengthen our community and our commitment to prevent, intervene, and respond to the impact of domestic violence, interventions like the Batterers Intervention Program will assist us in disrupting the reality that hurt people hurt people. There are root causes to victimization, and we are challenged and we are tasked with addressing those root causes, which we understand are individuals who oftentimes, our data tells us, who also have been victims of abuse themselves. Our responsibility is to ensure safety, accountability, and connectivity to the proper resources and structured programs. This program is going to take a cognitive behavioral approach, and it is going to allow us to get into the weeds of what is happening within our community to disrupt and interrupt this cycle. Our United States domestic violence statistics tells us that a woman is beaten every 9 seconds. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men in the United States has been the victim of physical violence by an intimate partner. And according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 30% of women seeking treatment in hospital emergency rooms are victims of domestic violence. Franklin County remains steadfast in disrupting this horrific epidemic and improving criminal justice system response. Since 2021, our Franklin County Board of Commissioners have invested over $4 million to domestic violence prevention, intervention, and response through initiatives like our Batters Intervention Program, our Blueprint for Safety, and Victim Services initiatives. And this is to support a multidisciplinary approach in response coordination, training, and annual system-wide safety audits to ensure we are equipped to save as we serve. And this Batters Intervention Program that we are highlighting today will become one more tool in our toolkit of saving lives. In closing, everyone knows someone fighting for their life. So when you see something, please say something, because silence perpetuates our greatest casualty in our war against domestic violence. We would like to thank our community partners, our friends, and our brave overcomers that stand with us every day in this work, that stand with us and walk alongside of us in disrupting the patterns that we see. Lastly, that I will tell you to remember this, that how we see people is how we serve people, and it is mandatory that in these efforts that our vision remains 2020. Thank you so much, and without further ado, I would like to turn it back over to our wonderful mayor, Mayor Ginther. Thank you.
Well, I think the director really hit our message at its core today. As a community, we've done an incredible amount of work to bring violence down in this city. The one area where we continue to see very deadly consequences is associated with domestic violence. This is not an issue the police can solve. We collectively, as a community, need to step up our efforts and invest in protecting women and children, doing everything we can from a prevention and intervention standpoint. We know law enforcement under the leadership of Chief Bryant will continue to lead the way on enforcement. But it is these types of innovative programs and partnerships with the judges, with the county, with our community partners that will bring violence down for women and children in this community. You can't talk about domestic violence without also addressing access to guns and the proliferation of guns, which stem from the most reckless and careless gun laws in the history of this state. This is the view of the overwhelming majority of Ohioans who oppose concealed carry, who oppose stand your ground, who oppose permitless carry. We need the State House to act on what we all know to be good policy, policy that is based on reliable evidence and decades of research. More women are dying in this community as a result of homicides out of domestic violence because of the proliferation and easy access to guns. That is the bottom line. That is the evidence. We know what we need to do to change that. It's our shared moral imperative to change the stories of women and children and so many others in this community, to change them for the better. Be there for them. Listen to their stories and do your part to report domestic violence, whether it's happening to you, a friend, a loved one, or a neighbor. We need leaders in the faith community to step up as well. Oftentimes, they may see or hear things among their parishioners that they can help share resources and support in ways that many other folks in this community cannot. Let's demonstrate our combined commitment to turn the tide on domestic violence and empower even more families with access to information, access to support, and access to a compassionate and understanding network of allies and advocates who always have your back. We know we can do this. We've done this with violence and homicides across the board. We now need to zero in and double down on strategies to reduce violence and homicides out of domestic situations. We can do this, but it's going to take all of us. Be happy to answer any questions on today's announcement. I'd ask out of respect for the speakers that are here, if it's about today's announcement, go ahead and ask it. If it's on another topic or subject, you know you can ask me any question on any subject, but would ask for us to do that separately, one-on-one, so we can respect their time. Any questions about today's announcement? Could you just share your name and your outlet?
Could Judge O'Grady or whoever appropriate share what this course would look like on the ground? What kind of services would participants in the program be going through? Could we get a little more info on that?
So it'll be individuals who are placed on probation, and part of their, depending on what the assessment says, this could be a counseling avenue that they move down. So it's an in-house program for counseling that we were outsourcing, and it just depends on what the assessment says. I would ask you to, Scott Simanison is our director of this program. He would be able to give you a much more insightful answer on this. What I can tell you is based on the assessments, that comes back with a risk level, and depending on that risk level, what a counseling is appropriate is then advised by the probation department. So Scott will be doing those assessments and then making the recommendations. So it really just depends on what that assessment comes back with.
Sure. Scott, raise your hand back there. Did everybody see this is Scott if you have more questions about the detailed curriculum? What other questions do you all have for us? We must have really done a good job talking about this. I'll stick around if you have questions about anything else. Thanks for coming.